welcome back to the Selenium tutorial. In this video we'll talk about how Selenium finds elements on the page. So let's look into this website, google.com. Pretty much is the most popular website in the world. Everybody knows what is Google, how to Google information, right? And let's think about elements that we see on the screen. What do we see right now? We see some links, button, more links, some input box, also button, one more button, and some image, right? And some links underneath. So how Selenium would know that, for example, you want to click on this button or enter some text over here or get this image or click on this button? For this reason, Selenium needs to have some kind of mechanism that would allow to wrap any kind of element on the page into some object. So for this, Selenium WebDriver has something that calls web element. So web element is basically an interface, and web element is something that allows to wrap any kind of element on the page into an object. This web element can be found with the help of locator. So locator is something that helps Selenium WebDriver find the element and wrap it into the web element and then do any kind of interactions with that web element. So before clicking or entering somewhere text, you have to actually find that element. You have to let know Selenium how to find it and then put it inside the web element. There are 8 ways to find element on the page. Not everyone is applicable in every case. So we have something that calls locator, and locator is a mechanism that allows Selenium to find elements on the page. So there is a ID, class name, tag name, name, link text, partial link text, XPath, and CSS. You can't actually use every type of locator in every case because for certain reasons, you won't be able to find all kind of required attributes to use any other locator. So for example, to use ID, element's supposed to actually have ID. If it doesn't have it, you cannot use it. Same thing with a class name or tag name or name, link text, and partial link text. The only type of locator that works with any kind of elements is XPath, and CSS almost pretty much can handle every possible web element. So let's look into the first locator, ID. ID is the most efficient locator type in the Selenium. First of all, ID must be unique. ID is some kind of like unique identifier, right? It's the attribute that supposed to be unique for every element. Not always every element on the page has ID. This is true. But if some element like this, for example, div has ID attribute that the value of ID is btn. So for example, this div element has ID btn. In this case, we can use ID to find element by ID, and this is the value of ID. Sometimes ID can be dynamic or partially dynamic, so it's not a good way to use it. But if ID is consistent, so that means this btn will not become something different after 1 minute or 5 minutes or on the second day. If it's consistent, then definitely we can use it. The benefit of this locator is it must be unique, right? And also is the fastest way for Selenium to find elements. Then so let's try to do some practice and find elements by ID. So we will go to IntelliJ, we'll create a new class, new Java class, find element with ID. So we'll create a new class, and then over here, main method. Then I'll just copy this setup so we can go ahead and start using some web page. So which web page we'll use? We can go to practice web page, multiple buttons, so we're gonna use this page. Inspect, and let's find some button with ID. Okay, so let's try to click on the button that is saying don't click. So what's gonna happen if we're gonna click on it? Okay, button disappears and message displays. Now it's gone. Okay, refresh the page and button is here. So what we're gonna do, let's see. Okay, so this is the button, this is the HTML text, right? This is the HTML attributes of this button, and this button has class, on click attribute name, and ID. Okay, this is what we need, disappearing button. So to find this button, we're gonna use this ID. Okay, and how we're gonna find it? We will use web element, right? So we'll create a web element button equals to, and now how we're gonna find that button by ID? We have to call driver and then say find element please by, and here we specify based on what we want to find element. Since we said that we want to use ID, we will call ID, and in double quotes we have to specify value of ID. Again, not every element has ID. In this case, this button has ID, and we can use it to click on it, right? But before clicking, we have to find it, right? So we have to use find element, call driver, then specify by what we want to find. And then once we found it, we'll say button.click. Once we clicked on that button, right? So this is how we click on something. We just use web element, right? Object, we found web element, and then we click on it. So once we clicked on that button, we're supposed to see this message, right? So how to find this message? This is the paragraph, and this paragraph contains text. Now it's gone. So how to find it? We have to use ID again, result. So I'll copy this ID of this element, right? And I'll say web element result equals to, again, driver, find element by ID, and in double quotes, ID of that element. Then we will print out text of that element. So how to get the text? Once we found element, to get the text of that element, we put dot, and then we call method getText. So it will return text that is inside element, and text of the element appears over here in between opening and closing tag. So this is the text of element, and it has black font. Okay, tag name has always purple, attribute is orange or brown, and value of attribute is always blue. So now we found element that contains our text, and let's run it. Let's click run and get the text of that element. It's supposed to be disappearing button. Okay, button was clicked, as you can see, disappeared, and now it's gone, text is here. So let's come back to IntelliJ. In the console output, as you can see, now it's gone, appears. Okay, so it works, very good. Alright guys, so thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video of this tutorial. Bye.